Good afternoon. My name is Talitha Mpando. I'm from Malawi, working with the Malawi Liverpool Walk-on program. And here we have with me Divine Adongo. If you could just briefly introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Talitha. I am Divine Adongo. I'm from Ghana. I work with Pax Africa as a strategic communications specialist, and I'm glad to be here.
Great to have you here with us. So may you just give us an idea of a time when you conveyed a piece of evidence as a communications specialist that had some local insight within it?
All right, thank you very much. Just to understand the context of that question, local context, local evidence, and indigenous ways of knowing has always been part of the work that I'm doing as a communication strategist in evidence ecosystem. My job is basically to bridge the gap between those technical research output and to make it accessible to the general audience to consume. So when we're organizing the Africa Evidence Week, I personally had that challenge because we wanted to have Gen Zs as part of the program. Okay. And the idea of getting them to be involved in a field that is very technical, that is research oriented, it was very difficult. So the idea we came up with is why not we bring them on board, orient them on the processes EIDM. If they understand, then they become ambassadors to invite their colleagues to join. So we invited a couple of them and made them ambassadors, took them through what the entire EIDM ecosystem is about. When they understood it, then they came up with TikTok videos, something I didn't even think of. TikTok videos talking about the excitement about this new ecosystem that they got involved in. And they really think if their colleagues join us in the celebration, it would help them both academically and the field of work. And in doing so, we had more sign-ups than we expected. We had more attendance than we expected. And the colleagues that they have reached to also had some referrals for us to all collectively promote evidence-informed decision-making. So yes, I have dealt with issues of local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing.
Oh, that sounds great. Just to get more clarity on that, why was it important for you to have Gen Z voices in that conversation?
Thank you very much. This is an exciting conversation. There's this slogan that young people, I'm a young person, we use often, and it is that nothing for us without us. Yeah. It is the same way if you are dealing with all segments of the population, whether it's remote communities, whether it is technical experts, whether it is politicians, policymakers. If it is about them, then they have to be involved in the process. So we involve them for them to feel part ownership of the process, become co-creators of whatever that we are doing. If that happens, then they are able to sustain the initiative. And sustainability is very important when it comes to development work. So we brought them so they would become co-creators of the initiative. So after we are done with what we want to do with them, they would help us in sustaining the initiative. And for us, that was achieved when we involved them. Right. And if you permit me to take you back a bit.
Go ahead.
One time I was with Savannah Signature, serving as a communications officer. We had funding from UNICEF to implement the Girls' Life Choices project. We wanted to train 500 adolescent girls ages between 12 to 19 on male-dominated professions. That is carpentry and fabrication, glazing, electrical, masonry, all those vocations that are known to be male-dominated. You have boys doing them. Now we felt that glazing at the time, you could get more money from that. So why not we add it to the vocations that we want to train these adolescent girls. We added it, then we recruited the 500 adolescent girls. We trained them. A couple of months, when I went back to gather my impact stories to showcase how the project is impacting lives, I realized that most of them had dropped out of the program.
Oh.
When I asked what happened, one of the intriguing issues that came up was that the villages that we are training these adolescent girls, no one is building glass houses there.
Okay.
So though it's a lucrative profession from where we are coming from, but if I graduate from a training doing glass work,
Yes.
who is going to patronize my service? And when I joined Pax Africa, it made sense because I felt, okay, it's because we didn't gather local evidence, we didn't understand the indigenous ways of knowing. That is why we projected what we think is best for them. If we had gone to gather those insights, then we would have been informed that vocations like this won't be lucrative here as against where we are coming from. So it's very important. So that's a failure that informed the next approach that I just talked about, the Africa Evidence Week.
Yes.
And you could see the differences when we involved this group of people and when we didn't involve the other ones.
Wow, that is very interesting.
Yeah.
So you highlight the importance of having voices right from the beginning, even before you conceptualize an idea,
Exactly.
to make sure that you have the input of your target beneficiaries, for lack of a better word.
Exactly.
Right.
And these days they are saying we shouldn't call them beneficiaries, we should call them participants.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah.
All right. So when it came to recruiting the Gen Zs that you used in your Evidence Week activity, what approaches did you use?
All right, so another thing we employed was to meet the participants where they are. So the first thing, and lucky for me, I had an assistant who is also a student at the University of Ghana. Okay. He understands them more. I'm a young person, but not Gen Z. I'm a millennial. So he has their orientation. So he said that if we want to reach them to recruit these people, these ambassadors, we have to design a flyer and post it on TikTok and or Instagram. That is where they would sign up. We did that. In fact, it wasn't effective. So I had to recommend that he should send it to his common WhatsApp platforms. Okay. Because he's a Gen Z, he's involved in platforms that ordinarily would have Gen Zs on the platform. So he sent the flyer there, and that is where we got more recruits. All right. So if I'm to project that to the larger evidence ecosystem or my communication domain, there are always approaches and channels that we think it's perfect based from our expertise and professional orientation. But you roll it out or you implement it using those principles and theoretical knowledge you have, then you realize that the people are not patronizing your service, or the message hasn't reached the consumers. Yes. Then you get to understand that you should have met them where they are, not where you think they are. Very so true. Yeah, we identified where we would meet them, and we sent our message there. And if I'm again to project it to local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing, there's this interesting example that there was an NGO that wanted to, they noticed that a community don't have a water system. So they go to the stream to fetch water, and the community to the stream is very far. Okay. The walking distance is very far. So they decided that why not we construct borehole for them. Then they constructed the borehole. The community members, they weren't using the borehole. They were still trekking to the dam to fetch water. Now, when they came and asked them why, the response was that when we leave our houses to walk to the dam or the stream to fetch water, that is the only time they have to gossip, to talk about, to converse with their friends, other women. Yes. And in the villages, if not that, we won't have luxury of time to go and do that. Yeah. So when they came and constructed the borehole near them, they deprived them of that social aspect of their life. Yes. So that is why they didn't use the borehole that they constructed. So that is how it is. You have to meet the people where they are, understand them, and to deliver your message. Okay. So I'm getting a sense that you need to kind of unlearn and don't come up with things based on your own previous assumptions. Exactly. And
standard way of doing things.
Exactly.
You have to immerse yourself into whatever it is
Exactly.
you're trying to put forward.
Exactly.
All right.
Especially this changing world. We the experts have to learn every day. Yeah.
And I suppose it makes you reconsider what the term expert is. Is it us who are sitting in the offices coming up with the methodologies, or is it the people who actually have the lived experience?
That is an interesting question, and I think I walk out of here questioning my own expertise, and that brings me to a project that we implemented in the Kariga district, the northern part of Ghana. Pax Africa, we had partnership. We partnered with the University of Southampton to implement a research project that is into food insecurity in the Kariga district. What the project seeks to do then was that to map out the existing projects that they've implemented within the district that aimed at tackling food insecurity, come up with the duration of implementation and the impact of those projects. One of the key outcomes we had was that most of the NGOs that came and implemented these projects didn't involve them in the process. So when they left, they didn't feel part ownership of the initiative, so most of the initiatives died out. They couldn't maintain them, they couldn't sustain them. So and one of the community members have said this is the first time someone came to their community, asked them what they know, what they think of before writing their report. That was a what he told us. We got them involved.
Okay.
So and that answers your question that if the previous NGOs were experts, development experts as we know NGO work to be, did their background and helped them with these interventions, why didn't it work? So the competencies, the problem solving abilities of the experts who are supposed to champion in development comes into question.
Yes.
But the local person that they think don't know what they want or how to go about tackling their own problems had knowledge that could sustain the project. So who is now the expert here?
Exactly.
So if I have to answer your question, I would say it's the combination of local evidence, indigenous ways of knowing, combined with those who consider themselves experts, knowledge for them to come up with any development intervention.
Thank you so much, Divine, for this great conversation. I've definitely learned a lot. And I would also just like to echo what you said about the women who go fetch water for social purposes. I think there was a study done in Malawi which found similar themes. So you can see that it's not just a Ghanaian thing, but it's across the continent.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was wondering if there's anything else you'd like to share or...
I think there's a lot to talk about when it comes to evidence, local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing. What I would just add is that we have to unlearn and relearn when we are dealing with local localities and indigenous people, because these people have insights that we are not privy to. We have learned about the theoretical aspect of our work. It's good we reconcile it with the local evidence and the indigenous ways of knowing. You may want to ask then what does those international doctrines or development concept has to do with the local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing. So I'll just highlight that using my perspective as a comms person. When we go to the communities to gather local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing, we still take a concept we learned from global best practices. That is a consent form as a comms person.
Yes.
I have to seek their consent as to taking photographs, using their photographs and videos and recordings on websites, social media and all that. So now we are reconciling best practices even when we are to gather local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing. So it's not about leaving what you've learned or global best practices. It's about reconciling them, knowing when to opt for this and when to use this, how to bring them together to have a sustainable initiative.
So basically, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But
Thank you, thank you.
all right. And have you gotten any pushback from going out into the communities and looking out for these voices, specifically within the communities, but also within the wider research community?
Yes. There are pushbacks on various angles. If I'm to talk about it on the policy level, especially political, and where I come from, politicians love to do cherry picking and symbolic data use. They come up with what they want to do, and they use evidence to support what they want to do already. So basically, it is not what evidence informed. They are manipulating evidence rather buttress what they are doing. So if we, those that are within the EIBM ecosystem, if we go and gather local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing, and we challenge these assumptions or development projects, what do you think will happen? They will push back.
Of course.
They would want to tell you that no, what you are saying is not true. We have been able to impact 1,000 lives in the community. So this thing that you are telling me that a local person is saying that they've not been impacted is a lie. They'll push back, and sometimes they being the gatekeepers of some of the support system we need, we don't even get them.
Yeah.
Another aspect from the local evidence, local perspective, is that when you challenge some of the local assumptions, like female genital mutilation, that is practiced in some parts of Ghana, they will tell you that we do it to not make the adolescent girl promiscuous.
Okay.
So if you are telling us that it is a bad practice, then you don't know what you are saying, because this is what our forefathers have done.
Okay.
So you have to now come up with strategies that would help them appreciate the angle that you are coming from. Probably getting a local person who is a health expert to help you educate them, because that person is one of them. They'll appreciate it coming from them. So that's also another pushbacks that we are getting from the local perspective and all that. So there are always pushbacks in every angle. But what I would say is that participation and inclusion is very important, and having your participants or beneficiaries, for lack of a better word, being co-creators of the initiative right from the beginning helps in some of these pushbacks.
Very true.
Yeah.
And something that you said also made me think we also need to think about what exactly is impact. So for the example that you gave on the boreholes, are we measuring it just by the number of boreholes built, or do the communities themselves feel like there's been an impact on the ground?
Thank you very much. That is why, yes, thank you very much for that question. That is very good. And I think the mistake most researchers do is that we emphasize the quantitative data enough, leaving the qualitative data, especially local evidence and indigenous ways of knowing. So it is not just about the number of people you've impacted with a borehole construction or any development initiative. It is about how the quality of their lives have improved after using that service. Okay. When we talk about water, it has to do with health issues and all that. How has the health situation within that locality improved? So you have to think of the local evidence, the qualitative aspect of the impact, beyond the quantitative aspect that most researchers talk about.
All right. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, Divine, for these amazing insights. Definitely have given us something to think about as we forge ahead.
Yep.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed this conversation.